You know it is spring when the distant noise of pressure washers starts. Such a fun time of year. Hello everyone, it is Sam and I hope you guys are having a lovely day today. I'm here today to do a book review. It has been a hot minute since I have done a book review, but I'm here today to fix that. And today I'm going to be reviewing Child of a Mad God by R.A. Salvatore. This book was on my most anticipated releases of 2018 list. Thomas from SFF 180 received it and he very kindly sent it to me, so I was able to read it. So that was an interesting experience. Child of a Mad God takes place in a somewhat interesting world. It wasn't quite what I was expecting going into it. I also gathered that this is a book that is set in a world that he has already written a couple of series in. Either one or two, I can't remember, but there's been several books set in this world. And I think that I might have had a greater appreciation for this book if I had read his other books in this world, but I'm not quite sure, and I'll get into that a little bit later. So this world is already something that he has developed, but it seems to take place in another section of this world that he hasn't really dealt with before. So like the western half of this world, at least I think it was like the western half, kind of resembles like a European type of a kingdom environment, or like early Europeans. The other half of this world is full of like unexplored territory and full of these like tribes of people. And so around this lake on this other side of this mountain reside, I think it was like 7 different tribes. And these tribes are very unique. They shape their heads as infants to take on different shapes. So there's like a tribe that has more cone-headed shaped people, those who have like just different shapes to their skulls. And then high up on the mountain is this other tribe that the tribes down by the lake basically worship. They consider them to be gods because they hold magic. And this tribe that resides on this mountain is not in fact, they're not in fact gods. They're just people who are able to harness the powers of these crystals. And they basically terrorize these tribes down by the lakes, and they consider them to be like barbaric and like stupid, and they take them as slaves and torment them, etc. So one of our character perspectives, that of Aelin, resides in this tribe up on the mountain, and Talmadge is from the lands of like the kingdoms, but he travels to the tribes to basically trade with them and take back their goods to his people and like trade, make money. So the main character perspective that we follow is that of Aelin. It starts out when she's about 3 years of age and she's growing up in this tribe. She's an orphan being raised by one of the elder women of the tribe, and she's basically been fascinated by the coven. In this tribe, there is a coven of witches, and they can basically harness and use the power of the crystals. And she constantly aspires to be a part of the coven. It's a very exclusive group of people, and basically somebody has to die or be kicked out in order for a witch to join the coven. I believe there can only be 13 at any given time. So as she grows up, she aspires to become one of the witches, and she already knows that she has an affinity for the crystals, and she kind of wants to break out of the restrictions that this society has put upon women. You know, basically they have to be slaves to their husband, they're abused by the other men of the tribe, and they don't have much power, and she wants to break out of that, and she knows that part of the way to do that is to join the coven. In addition to Aelin, there is also the character perspective of Tay Alec. He is one of the warrior leaders of this tribe. He's a cruel man. He is sadistic and kind of sociopathic. And he also has his sights set on Aelin. Aelin is known for the tribe for being very willful and fiery spirited, and he wants to take her for his own because he also sees that she holds immense power. So this book is split between the character perspectives of Aelin and Talmadge and occasionally Tay Alec. And the story kind of unfolds from there. You start to see how Talmadge and Aelin's characters kind of intertwine. But basically the story is more about Aelin kind of growing up in this tribe and trying to find her place and to break out of the social restrictions. She feels for the slaves, and she kind of wants to help them, and she doesn't agree with what her tribe stands for. So overall, I hated this book. It was extremely disappointing. It was not at all what I was expecting, and I think my biggest frustration with this book was that nothing happened. This book covered almost 20 years, and in that 20 years that we read about in almost 600 pages of this book, nothing happened. And I was so annoyed. What was covered in this book was unnecessary. The pacing was terrible. It moved really slow. A lot of the events that occurred, I was like, this could have been summed up in a couple of pages, not like 4 chapters. Like, I did not understand the pacing of this book and why he was dragging everything out. I would say the actual story of where this series is going to go did not occur until the last 50 to 100 pages, and that was so unnecessary. So I have like a lot of anger about this book because I was expecting to enjoy it so much and it was terrible. Also, in my mind, there was absolutely no reason to have two different character perspectives. Talmadge basically adds nothing to this book. You could have taken out the character of Talmadge and you'd have the same book. There was no point to it, and I just do not understand. I don't understand. The other thing that I really struggled with this book was the amount of rape occurring. The Uskar tribe, which is a tribe that Aelin is a part of, they take slaves and they take a lot of women basically so they can keep them and rape them. And the amount of it was just so barbaric and unnecessary, and it added nothing to the story. Just how he kept recounting how the men kept raping these women. It literally added nothing to the story except for to just paint how barbaric this tribe is when you already know that these people are cruel. So it just became completely unnecessary, and it added nothing to the story, and I'm so salty about this book. I did not like it. I know that R.A. Salvatore is a very respected author in the fantasy genre. I personally have never read anything by him. I do believe a lot of his works are associated with like creating stories set in the D&D universe, but personally I will never read a book by him again. I hated it, and I do not even think that he's that great of an author. I have read much better writing from many, many, many other authors. I'm not gonna waste my time on any more of his books. So I feel like such a salty, salty bitch. And then in terms of the characters, the only character that I had any sympathy for was the character of Aelin and the young slave boy that was taken at the beginning of the book that everybody called Thump. Those were the only two characters I liked. And we hardly ever saw Thump, although I believe that given the situation that him and Aelin will kind of like develop something more later on in the books, but I'll never know because I'm never reading them. Those were the only two characters I like. Aelin was the only one with a backbone and trying to fight against what everybody was doing. Everybody else was like, oh, it's just the way life is. We're just gonna go with it. It's all good. It's all good. And I'm like, can somebody just like create some kind of a conflict so Tay Alec isn't just going out here and wreaking havoc and destroying people's lives? Because that would be great. It'd be fantastic. Could you do that? Could you? And it didn't happen. So yeah, I have a lot of feelings about this book, and I feel like this is turning into a very ranty video, and I'm really, really sorry, but I haven't felt this much passionate anger towards a book since Wuthering Heights, so it's been a couple of years. Needless to say, I did not enjoy this book, and I gave it 1.5 stars, and the only reason I gave it a half a star more than just 1 star was because I did kind of enjoy the last 50 pages of the book, and why the rest of the book couldn't have been like this, I will never know. So I gave the characters 1.5 out of 5 stars. I gave the writing 2 stars because, while I didn't enjoy his writing, he wasn't the worst author I've ever read. I also gave the world building 2 stars, primarily because I do believe there was more world building if you had read the prior book set in this world, but I'm not gonna do that. I'm not subjecting myself to that. I gave the plot 1 star, and I just gave an overall rating of 1.5 out of 5 stars. It was definitely not the book for me. I was very, very disappointed in it. And if you enjoyed it, I'm very happy that you enjoyed it, but I am very secure in my feelings of not enjoying this book, so that's where we're at now. It's sad too because of all of the anticipated releases I have read from this year that were in my anticipated releases video from January. This is really the only one that I've hated. So I guess it was bound to happen at some point. Alright guys, that was my very, 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 very ranty video on Child of a Mad God by R.A. Salvatore. I hope you guys enjoyed it at least, or found it somewhat helpful, even if my ranting was a little rambly. Alright guys, that's it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Until next time, happy reading. Bye!